that player the best player at his position in the game? See, I'm looking at it through the eyes of a player, or does that guy fit a team concept better? I think there's two different things you're looking at there, because when I look at Justin Jefferson, I look at him and as the best skilled set wide receiver in the NFL. When I look at AJ fits exactly what they're doing in Philadelphia. CeeDee Lamb fits exactly what they're doing. But yet when you look at, and you've got to have an eyeball test, like Phil Simms just said it, nobody's better in the NFL than Joe Burrow. But because he hasn't won a Super Bowl, that doesn't make him lesser of a player because he hasn't won. It's the organization that fails him.
No, it doesn't make him lesser of a player, but when you get into a playoff situation and everything's tighter and there's more pressure on you and you got to make every throw, you can't have those turnovers. A lot of guys under those circumstances or those situations, they fold, Sills. They're not the same player that they were all year for whatever reason.
Because they're asked to do more.
Well, and you know what? I think that's a part of it. And then you get quarterbacks that could go into those situations and they flourish. I mean, we saw it with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Tom Brady was a pressured quarterback. He could win under pressure, and he developed into the greatest quarterback of all time. But when he first came on the scene, he wasn't throwing 40 touchdown passes. He wasn't. He was managing the game, not turning over the ball. But in pressure situations like a Super Bowl versus the Rams and stuff, he made the plays that he had to make. There are quarterbacks that when they get to the playoffs and they get in situations where they got to make the big plays, the big pass, and the pressure's on them, they don't do it. And I think that's a big part. I think that's a forgotten thing in today's football. We look at stats so much, fantasy numbers, these numbers, we forget that simple thing. I think back in the 80s, it was overblown. Like, that's all that mattered. And then I think guys like Dan Marino didn't get the respect maybe they deserved. But now I feel like it's the opposite, where we forget what matters the most, and that's winning. So
how about this?
To me, I think it's a big deal.
Mark, how about this? And you tell me if you subscribe to this. I brought this up last week. And to me, I mean, he's not wrong, because when you're evaluating guys when it comes to where you are in the history of the sport, championships and winning has to matter. It has to be part of it. However, when I look at a guy like Prescott, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert,
Lamar Jackson,
those teams are all going to be dictated by how well they play week in and week out. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to play great every week. I mean, the playoffs are a prime example of it. There were 2 games that he played in the playoffs where he didn't have to be exceptional. Now, to Philly's point, Philly, I'm not dispelling the fact that you have a great GM. They built the team great. There's no question. I don't think, Mark, that there's very few quarterbacks in the NFL that can win 4 or 3 straight ball games carrying a football team on their back. Josh Allen has yet to do it. Lamar has yet to do it. Last year, even Mahomes failed in going 3 straight. Those quarterbacks, that team, they're dictated by how well that guy plays every week. Jalen's not. He doesn't have to be exceptional every week. It's not a rip. It's not a rip, Philly, because your team is so good. There's 2 stars to it. That's your advantage going into the playoffs. He doesn't have to play exceptional.
But here's the difference, though. The difference, and the thing with Jason is that when he did have to in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, when he had to make the plays, he made them. If Dak Prescott or Herbert or any of these guys do it one time, they can do it.
No. First of all, no. Bro, seriously, the last time we were 12-5, we had CeeDee Lamb with 1,700 yards. Incredible season. The next closest person was Brandon Cooks, well over 1,000 yards behind him. 1,000 yards. Wait. Our leading running back, Tony Pollard, which the Cowboys. Hold on, Philly. I've listened to your shit now. Let me at least speak. You can't, because here's how I know I'm beginning to make some hay, because that's when you interrupt me, because I'm actually making sense. The Dallas Cowboys, the last time we were 12-5, had one receiver that was good. One, CeeDee Lamb. Everybody else was a bunch of guys. And you had Tony Pollard, who was not an inside runner. The Cowboys, being as cheap as they were, said, let's get rid of Zeke. We'll make Tony Pollard our all-weather running back. He averaged 4.1 yards a carry and 1,000 yards. And that's what we had as far as weapons going into the playoffs. So when you go through here and say, he's a choker, and you've got Jalen Hurts, who's got an incredible offensive line, who's got even Dallas Goedert, who is a really good tight end, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, a great line, and Saquon, it's not an even playing field. Yep. And by your measure, there's only 3 decent quarterbacks in the NFL, and that would be Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Matthew Stafford. That would be
Dallas had 3 straight years of 12 wins.
Yeah,
they have been a 1 seed under Dak.
Let's see.
They have been a 2 seed under Dak.
Then you know what?
And they don't win. And it's always because they
I tell you
don't
what.
have something.
Let's see how far you go if your quarterback was hamstrung with that same scenario. I guess you would probably no, Philly, you are not listening to it. If you had the same shit the last time we went into the playoffs, I guarantee you would not be in the Super Bowl. You would not.
Mark, you can't even get out of the first round.
Bro, your running back had 1,000 yards more than what my guy did.
What about the first 5 years of his career when you had the number 1 offensive line in the league?
And you know
best running back. You had a tight end.
He had that 1 year.
37 touchdowns 1 year.
1 year.
You only
2018. No. See, this is where you're shading out the highlights. 2016 was the best offensive line that Dak Prescott had. In 2018, Travis Frederick.
And what happened?
Hold on. Travis Frederick, our great center, ended up having Guillain-Barré syndrome. Okay? We've never had great tight end play with the exception of hold on. Great tight end play. No. You had an aging Jason Witten who was out of the booth with the Raiders and literally slow as turtle shit. The only other times you had a tight end with 800 yards, you had Dalton Schultz, who couldn't block worth shit, 1 year, and you had Jake Ferguson his second year. Other than that, you've never had any great tight end play. And you've never had, other than 1 year, more than one legitimate receiver. And after 2018, the offensive line has been shit.
Let me ask you this, Mark. If Dak Prescott had Howie Roseman running the Cowboys, does Dak have one or multiple Super Bowls?
Yeah, he's got Super Bowls. He's got Super Bowls. You cannot look at the Dallas Cowboys. You know what we do? You go out and get A.J. Brown. We bring in a T.Y. Hilton in the middle of the season. We go out and we get a James Washington. Okay, after we get rid of Amari Cooper, we bring in James Washington and say, yeah. And that Jalen Tolbert, he's going to be great. We literally have a GM that says we're going to do more with less. Philly?
Hey, I'm sorry, Philly.
Come on.
I'm going to ask you the question.
Come on, bro.
If Howie Roseman is in Dallas, does Dak Prescott have multiple Super Bowls?
He's going to say no.
There's nothing to lead me to believe it. He hasn't shown that he can rise up to the occasion in a big game. He hasn't shown me it.
How about this one?
If let's say the last Super Bowl where Barkley got shut down and he has to make throws, can Dak Prescott win that game?
Oh, my God.
I don't know. He hasn't shown that he can do it. It's so bad that Mark has to actually make excuses of 14 penalties in a game.
Philly, I know you know football. I know you no, you're a liar, Philly. Philly. I know you know football better than that, bro. You know, no. When Saquon, why did Saquon get shut down, man? Why did Saquon did he get shut down by a 4-man front?
No, they stacked the box.
Oh, so that doesn't help. Hold it. That doesn't help the quarterback, bro. That doesn't see. This is the bullshit that you loudmouth Eagle fans do, bro.
What leads?
Bro,
Hey, Mark. Let me ask
if
you
you have to stack 8 men in the box, 8 men in the box, it makes it easier for your quarterback. He's got single coverage with Devontae Smith, man. Come on, bro. Come on. No, you're full of shit, man. Philly, you're full of shit.
Several years of Dak Prescott's career, he had one of the best offensive lines and a top running back.
Okay, let's hold it. Let's go. Let's go through. Hold on, bro. Whoa. Stop right there. Stop right there. Hold on. Whoa. Okay. How about his rookie year? Let's go through it.
What makes you
Let's go through it, bro.
Going to throw that pass at Devontae Smith in a pressure situation? What makes you think he's going to make that pass to Jahan Dotson in a pressure situation? He's shown you.
If he's got 8 men in the box and single coverage, I guarantee you he makes it, bro. I guarantee you. Dak Prescott's had to face the worst tight window situations throughout his career because we don't have studs and we don't have a threat of a running game, man. Come on.
Playoffs, at home in Dallas, he quarterbacked.
There's no point. There's no point.
Timeouts left. And the clock runs out. That's not on everybody else.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
He's a choker.
Couple last ones here. Now, let me ask you this, though. Philly, don't you think, though, what he's saying on one part here? Okay.
No, he doesn't think.
Hang on, Mark. Let's be fair here. Come on now. Listen, I'm going to agree with you on one part here. This is not about Dak. This is about the way that the organization has. Phil Simms just said it on the program about 25 minutes ago. Howie Roseman, because I asked him about Jalen, and he said this. He goes, Jalen is absolutely perfect for what they are doing, and they have the best O-line in football history. Phil Simms, how about this, Philly? Phil Simms said that your O-line is better than the Dallas Cowboys O-line of the 90s. You don't think that plays a major factor in how they go about their business, and that you give the greatest O-line to any quarterback in the NFL? Don't you think that's going to be something that's going to help those guys all flourish, whether they're Joe Burrow or whether they're anybody?
So you think every quarterback that starts, if they played for the Eagles, would have won a Super Bowl?
No. I don't think that, because I think.
Well, why would I think Dak Prescott is when he can't do anything in the playoffs?
My God.
You don't go 12 seasons in a row, 3 years in a row, and then you lose in every playoff game, and then
you don't lose in every playoff game.
He's going to be able to play in the playoffs at a high level. He doesn't.
He didn't against Tampa Bay. He didn't against Seattle. He did against Green Bay.
How many games has he won in the playoffs?
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. When they take the lead with 53 seconds left after a game-winning drive and the defense doesn't hold them, it's because the quarterback sucked?
Not necessarily, but when
that's what you just said. Okay, so when he threw 5 TD passes against Tom Brady, where nobody picked the Dallas Cowboys on the road, nobody did.
Everybody knew Dallas was going to win.
Bullshit. Every one of the crowd, every one of them picked Tampa Bay. Everybody said Tom Brady's going to win. Come on, man.
Playoff game.
Revisionist history.
All right.
Yeah, you're full of shit, man. You're full of shit.
Full of shit.